Hey everyone, and welcome to today's WordStream webinar along with our friends from Emma. Every click can be a customer, online advertising made simple. We are very excited to have everybody with us today. I'm Callie, and I'm just here to get things started before I pass it over to our experts. So as I mentioned, we have our great friends from Emma here with us today, and we couldn't be more excited. First up, I'd like to introduce our presenter from Emma, Jamie Bradley. She is the content marketing strategist at Emma. She can typically be found hunkered down at Emma headquarters in Nashville, which I'm super jealous about, place I've always wanted to go. She likes to create a lot of live presentations, downloadable content, webinars, and she plays a really big role in the large-scale self-produced events like Emma's annual Marketing United Conference. So Jamie, thanks so much for joining us. I'd love if you could give us a quick overview of Emma so we can be more familiar with the brand.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me. So Emma is an email marketing software and service that helps organizations of all shapes, sizes, forms get more from their marketing. We've got tailored solutions specifically for businesses, franchises, retailers, universities, and agencies. So we've got something for everyone. Just hit us up. We'll get you into the right solution. And as Callie said, we are in Nashville. You can come visit anytime. But we also have offices in Portland and Melbourne, Australia, actually, which I have not been. Talk about jealous. We power the emails of more than 50,000 organizations worldwide with clients such as Mario Batali, Bridgestone, Charity Water, Yale University, and more.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jamie. I'll take that trip to Melbourne, Australia with you any day.
Come on.
Great. Now we have Jess Armstrong from the WordStream side. She is our customer onboarding specialist. She's been a member here since 2014, so a little over 2 years now, almost 3, specializing in creating customized PPC training for all of our WordStream clients. She works in both the CS, customer success, and business development world. She has onboarded over 1,000 small, medium businesses, marketing agencies, and channel partners. So Jess is very well versed in the PPC world as well as everything WordStream. So Jess, thanks so much for joining us today. And do you mind giving us a little overview about what we do here at WordStream?
Yeah, of course. I'm really excited to be a part of this and working with Jamie and my Emma. WordStream is really a pay-per-click optimization software, and we've been helping over 2,000 SMB and agency customers drive better results by providing them with customized alerts, best practice checks, and visually stunning reporting just to help make their online marketing campaigns easier, simpler, and more cost-effective. That's really kind of our wheelhouse at WordStream. We're located in Boston. We were founded out of a Panera Bread by our founder, Larry Kim. Thought leadership has really been kind of our wheelhouse from the get-go. So we've kind of turned that into a software and service for the SMB agency space.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jess. And with that, all the logistics out of the way, I will pass it over to our experts. So Jess, have at it.
Awesome. So before we get started into kind of the tips, the nitty-gritty, actionable stuff that Jamie and I are going to be talking to today, I want to just take a step back. And when we're thinking about how a click can become a customer and we try to dissect a really good digital marketing strategy, we want to look at our entire funnel from a digital marketing perspective and then break them down into the stages. And I'm sure you guys are pretty familiar at this point with what an online marketing funnel looks like. The top of the funnel is where you bring a bunch of people to your website, get them familiar with you and your brand. In the middle of the funnel, that's when we're trying to nurture our existing leads, get them out of just the awareness stage and into the consideration stage. And then at the very bottom, that's when you hit them over the head with a conversion and try to get them to choose you. And everyone's digital marketing funnel is going to look a little bit different. But when we start off and someone comes up to me and says, I'm having trouble getting customers or acquiring customers online, my first question for anyone is going to be, how are you filling your funnel? SEO is probably one of the most popular answers to this. And if you are doing SEO, Congrats, that's a great place to start. But I do have, my own bias aside, there are some pitfalls with doing SEO completely on its own, right? It's very difficult to guarantee that your website is going to be placed on the search engine results page. It's very hard to keep up with algorithm changes that Google and Bing ads and search engine platforms are constantly updating. And it's really hard, I think, more than anything else, to measure whether or not your efforts are actually working. It can take a long time to drive results. Takes a lot of effort to parse out what changes have driven what metrics, and that's where a lot of the frustration and the turbulence of SEO comes from. But all that aside, honestly, like, my biggest problem with it is that organic listings are just boring. It's hard to make an organic listing stand out. You don't have very much control put in front of your prospects or people who are navigating to your website. And on top of that, mobile devices are absolutely dominated by ads on the search engine results that you'll see on smartphones and tablets. I actually was looking at this, searching for dog adoption a couple weeks ago in Boston, and when I pulled it up on my screen, I noticed it took me 2 full scrolls to even reach a single organic listing. And with mobile becoming such a crucial part of showing up on the search engine results page, more searches are actually performed on mobile devices now than on desktops. SEO just doesn't cut it on its own. Even scarier than that, Google's updating how ads are even displayed, the format that they're displayed on the SERP, the search engine results page. They now show 4 ads for highly transactional queries as opposed to just 1 or 2 where they used to, which means it's taking up even more space. So guaranteeing that your website is even shown on the first page of results using only SEO can be extremely difficult. Not only that, but these ads are getting even longer and longer with things like ad extensions, and now Google's released expanded text ads. All of those things are pushing these organic listings further and further down the page. So the first solution, I would say, is if SEO isn't cutting it for you, isn't getting you enough, we should turn to paid search. If you haven't already, paid search is great because it's going to give you a lot more control over your return on investment, over who you show up for, when you show up, and where you're showing up on that page. And all of it is very measurable. You can directly tie how much your budget has led to clicks and conversions and all of those important metrics and KPIs that we need to then justify our ad spend. And if you are already doing SEO and content marketing, that's great because it's not just like starting from scratch. You can apply what you've already learned to paid search, and that take what calls to action, what content, what headlines have resonated best with your website visitors, and apply those directly to your ad copy and the landing pages that you take them to. Another common mistake I see with people trying to fill the top of the funnel is that they're treating all of their paid traffic equally. When you're starting from scratch, it's very easy to just think of all traffic being the same. I just want to get someone to my website. Any visitor to my website is just as important. But search queries can actually tell you a lot about a searcher. The keywords that they enter into Google or Bing ads don't just tell you about their hobbies or their interests, they also tell you their intent. And when we talk about keyword intent, we kind of break it up into 3 different categories. I won't bore you with it too much, but basically navigational keyword intent is when you're using Google to just get to another website. I'm trying to get to Facebook and I search for Facebook. Informational would be when I'm just trying to acquire information about something. Like one of the biggest ones that happened this week was how to move to Canada. And then transactional search queries are those highly you have the intent to actually perform something, make a purchase, or do something on a website. So when it comes to acquiring our customers, we really want to focus on these highly transactionable keywords. These are things that indicate the searcher is really close to buying, or they've left the research stage and are actually looking to take action. These are things where people who are looking for the best prices or reviews, or they're including specific branded terms or qualifications for whatever it is that they're looking for. And I have a real example for this. I'm 24. I'm pretty young over here at WordStream, but we all are. And wedding season's been hitting me pretty hard. And I attended a wedding in July on Block Island. It had a nautical theme. My friend had told me that I had to wear a blue dress to the wedding, and I said, okay, I know exactly what I want. I had tried on this dress earlier in December, and I really wanted it, but I had no reason to get it, and I talked myself out of it. So I had typed in, I knew it was a blue Kate Spade dress, I knew the brand, the color, and I typed in my size, and voila, it was there, right there waiting for me. It's that 4th dress in the listing in that image. That's someone who has high intent. They know what they want. This thing went for actually buying the gift. She registered at Crate and Barrel, so I bought a gift card. I'm not going to take a huge gift with me to an island. It would just be a disaster. So gift card's easy, just a little card. Don't have to worry about getting it on the ferry. And then the advantage of tackling and taking on these high intent keywords and bidding on them is because you can tailor your ad copy specifically to that sense of urgency or that decision-making process that they're already entwined in. In this case, my boss at one point, she broke her tooth, and this is kind of the search query that I would imagine that she would have put into Google, and this first ad that shows up is actually perfect. They tackle this on head-on by saying, you don't need to schedule an appointment. Walk-ins are welcome, and this is an emergency, right? Like emergency dental care. She's not looking to shop around. She's just looking to find something that has what she wants and has it right now, and it even gives her the locations of those offices, which is perfect. So we know that we need to start prioritizing these transactional keywords, but now we have to actually find them. And a great place to start is in your brain. Like your business, how people are getting on your website if you have an understanding of your customer, but you don't have to do all of that work on your own, and you don't have to make it a guessing game if you are already running paid search or even analytics. If you look at your search terms report in AdWords, that's under the Keywords tab, you can see what people have already searched for to get to your website. And from there, you can identify keywords that are maybe a little bit longer and that express that someone is much more close to the conversion stage than other people who are just looking for information. And this is all provided alongside with key metrics like whether or not they've converted for you if you have conversion tracking set up, or did they actually click to your website after searching for it. Those things are really important for making these decisions. And now that we've identified those keywords, let's prioritize them. When I say that, I can kind of hear a collective eye roll. Prioritize them, doesn't that mean pay more for them? The easiest answer is, of course, you should pay more for them, but that's not necessarily how AdWords works. Thankfully, especially for small businesses and agencies that are trying to get the most bang for their buck, the advantage of having these keywords that drive action or or intend to have an action taken after them is that you benefit from something called quality score. You tell someone how much you tell Google how much you want to pay for that keyword, but quality score actually acts as a multiplier for your bid. If you are bidding on a keyword that's much more likely, that drives a lot of clicks, that drives a lot of interaction on your website, Google's going to actually give you a higher quality score, which then is multiplied by your bid. So in this case, advertiser one who's bidding on a keyword and tailoring that keyword to their ad copy, like we saw in the dentist example, and performing really well, is going to actually get to pay less than advertisers who are not prioritizing those keywords. And in this example, they even get the top spot on the search engine results page. So in sum, I just want to say that when SEO is great, but alone it's probably not enough. And when you're looking to expand that top of funnel, you want to supplement it with PPC, an additional top of funnel tactics. But then the question, of course, is once you have all these leads, what now? And I'm going to let Jamie take it from here.
Exactly, and that was so great, and I love that presentation because that is not a world that I operate in often, so it's super fascinating stuff, and it really transitions nicely into what I'm going to talk about. Obviously, I work for an email marketing company, so we're going to talk about a lot of email right now. It's kind of spoiler alert, I'm giving it away. So, and obviously here at Emma, we believe that email is a really solid way to connect with your customers, potential customers, leads, whatever you may call them, and your, customers as well. But you don't have to take my word for it, because we're going to look at some examples and some numbers first and foremost that sort of set that up. There we go. So, right out of the gate, when it comes to email and what you can do with it, once you get all these great people to your website, once you get them specifically to the right place on your website with the right level of intent, and you've tailored content both in your ad copy and then on those landing pages to them, you are likely to be successful with email. 66% of online consumers have made a purchase as a result of receiving an email. Pretty cool. The ROI of email is and has been, as long as I've been working in email marketing, and I'm a little older, it's been more than double that of every other digital channel. And specifically, when it comes to email versus social as a channel that connects with people, you're actually 40 times more likely to acquire a new customer with email than you are from a channel like Facebook or Twitter. And the DMA, that's the Direct Marketing Association, actually says that the ROI of email is somewhere around $38 to $40 for every dollar spent, and that number can swing up and down depending, but that roughly translates to a 38,000% ROI over other channels, which is absurd sounding. And honestly, you're seeing those numbers because 70% of consumers in the U.S. specifically say that they actually prefer to hear directly from brands via email over all of the other sort of outlets and channels. Once I've parted with some information and gotten a little bit closer, a little bit further down the funnel from your brand, I want to actually engage with you further in this space. And part of that reason, is that email feels a little bit more personal. We are hanging out in our inboxes all day, and we appreciate it when brands can show up in this space and actually make some brand promises that resonate with us. So, how we take what's happening out there, out in the world, out in Google land and search world, how do we take what's happening out there and translate that into inbox experiences that actually convert and are powerful? So we're going to look at some examples today of what we mean by that. So first and foremost, you got to get them in the right doors. So Jess sort of helped tee up really nicely how we get them to the right pages on our site, and help assess their intent. To get them actually onto your email list, obviously you got to have their email address, right? So when we talk about getting them in the right doors, what we're really talking about are things like this. So what you're looking at here is, an example of a banner pop-up ad. So you can harness the power of email without their email address. And banners like this one that you see here from Frank and Oak which is a great line. I got an email from them. They actually were saying, hey, we have a women's line now. I landed on this page. And then immediately an unobtrusive banner, I could still navigate the page, a banner like this popped up. And these banner forms start in sort of a hidden state. And then by my activity, they are triggered. And I can roll around on the site. And then I can also just sort of have this static, nice little banner down at the bottom that's saying, hey, do you want to get 15% off? Give us your email address. And according to our friends at a company called Privy that actually powers a lot of banners like this, banners outperform light boxes and static sign-up forms, so those embedded sign-up forms now more than ever, because it's easy for your visitors to not feel like they're being bombarded. This is a really nice unobtrusive way. It's a nice little happy medium there. However, banners and they have their place. But what if I'm a little bit closer? I've gone to a page with high intent. I want some content specifically. Well, you look at an example from our friends at WordStream, and the lightbox is totally appropriate here. And what this lightbox is doing is actually asking me if I want something that's very valuable, if I want to get some knowledge dropped on me, if I want to download this white paper. And in the B2B space, versus B2C, the transaction at this point is knowledge, it is content, and it's specifically probably relevant content. This pop-up also specifically on this page didn't deploy for me until I'd already engaged with the content. So I'd scrolled down on this page that I was already reading on WordStream's site, and then this pop-up appeared offering me something because they could make an assumption at that point that I probably was more likely to take them up on their offer. And there are tons of ways to go about it. These are just two examples. But just remember, reducing the effort on a casual visitor to your site and providing the right kind of pathway, and both in the user experience, so when these pop up, what they look like, and an offer that resonates with, corresponds to what they might be interested in, is really going to be more successful when it comes to capturing that email address right out of the gate. So let's say, I had these great ads that led me to the right pages, and then this pop-up appeared, or this banner appeared, and I parted with just my email address. Well, what's next? So what's next is that you actually have to say hi. At this stage in the game, it's important to automate a welcome note. The majority of your subscribers are expecting this touch point, and you'd be surprised how many brands still fail to do this. But again, don't take my word for it. You're seeing them. They're popular because they actually are really working. Not only do welcome notes sort of feel good, they actually work. Subscribers who receive welcome notes show actually a 33% more long-term brand engagement over time than people that don't. And it makes sense. You're starting a conversation with email. You're trying to, if someone approaches you to start a conversation, you're not going to turn around and walk away. You're going to say hi. You're going to immediately engage with them. And with email, it's the same way. Welcome notes also consistently see positive results. When I part with my email, when you're not asking for too much up front, I'm just giving you one piece of information about me, you have one moment to strike. So over half of all welcome emails are open, which is awesome for you, and they're 86% more effective than business as usual emails because it's an exchange. I gave you something, you immediately give me something back, and I'm curious. I want to see what you got. And so another way to maximize your engagement, at this touch point is actually provide that value up front in this interaction. So just like with WordStream, if I'm asking for a piece of content, I'm expecting it. Just like Frank and Oak, if you're giving me 15% off at that first touch point, you've got to deliver that at this touch point as well. And this is what you're seeing here from the Desi Group, which is a customer of ours. This is also a really fun place to test those offers. On one page, do 15%, on another, do a different offer, and see who's, if one or the other maybe is resonating better. Here's another one too, and I love pointing this out. This is from Tito's Vodka, and they actually send a welcome note based on gathering people's email addresses at an in-person event during South by Southwest. So just because we're talking about digital channels today, we think these are so important that it's getting in front of new subscribers, new customers with a nice brand impression, with something that puts forth some clarity on what your brand is all about, is a really great way to do it. And also, you don't have to include a discount and everything. So, just consider that. We actually believe here at Emma, though, that a series of emails can often be even more impactful. to maximize your impact, especially if you're only asking for one piece of information, aka that email address, this is actually a great opportunity to deploy an automated series that goes out a few days at a time, over time, sort of, you get one piece of data and you actually can maximize this sort of extended hello. And this is just a template. And again, you'll get the recording, we'll send the slides, so I won't get too deep into this right now. But really what this is doing, email 1, it's a brand introduction. Email 2 is social proof. It's tell me why others believe you and trust you. Email 3, provide some pathways, provide some stuff for me to click on, provide things that I can rack up some data if I'm a marketer and see what are people interested in, what were they clicking on. By email 4, you can get a little bit bolder with your call to action. You don't want to come right out of the gate. You want to give them something at that first touch point and work your way up to actually asking for something. Again, just like real life, you're not gonna ask me to do you a favor when we first meet, and if you do, that's a little odd. So, getting them in the door, saying hello, extending that hello, profiling them, all great stuff. And once you start to get some of that data with these first interactions, once you start to look on the front end, look at your email response data in your ESP, then you can take that information and start to tailor these emails and these offers. Personalized emails deliver 6 times higher transaction rates. Emails that are tailored to people, they're going to perform better. 70% of brands, however, are failing to do this still. They're just sending general, sort of generic email. And it's unfortunate because you will have to ensure that your content becomes more targeted over time, or you are going to fall behind as a brand. More than 75% of all that awesome revenue we talked about at the beginning, all of that is being generated not off of batch and blast, mass emails, or these one-size-fits-all content. The growing percentage of that email is automated, and it's coming from emails that actually are tailored and targeted. And the uptake for brands using automation is also still surprisingly small. Somewhere around 13% of email marketers reported that they are using an automation software, according to a recent study by Autopilot. And segmenting your audience and using the right tools are going to ensure that you can actually sort of grab some of these brass rings and actually see some good returns and be more effective and more efficient. So a way to look at that is by segmentation. Not all of these messages that we're going to look at today are automated, but sort of that 1-2 punch, if you can combine them, can be super powerful. This one was not automated. This was just a really great, timely email that hit our inbox as a brand based on our feedback. We'd taken a survey. This is a B2B brand. We're clients of theirs. We'd taken a survey. We'd given them a very favorable review. So this email, first and foremost, is a thank you based on relevant data that they have about me. Second step is that in the email, they provide some value right out of the gate. They're not just saying thanks. They're saying thanks. Here's a free t-shirt and a funny video. They could have left off the t-shirt. I would have loved the video. It was great. Then at the bottom of the email, they are asking me to do something. So kind of this is like that welcome series condensed down into one message, and I'm much farther along. I'm actually already a customer of theirs, so this felt really nice. But again, it's just like any other relationship. Thank me, don't ask for something right up front, give me some value, and then sort of move me down. And again, this is just based on some very basic data, which is really, really great. They're not sending this message to people that did not respond favorably to their survey. They're reaching out to those people, I would imagine, probably directly in a very different way. So, we were just talking about automation, though, even though this is not. And another form of automation is that triggered email. And a triggered email is email that is deployed based on some sort of specific action, behavior, or date that's related to a subscriber. So we're going to look at some examples of that. But first, here's a stat. Triggered emails that deploy based again on action, behavior, or a date, these emails have a ridiculous increase in conversions over those general mailings. Personalization is not dropping my name into a subject line anymore. It's actually mapping the email experience to my customer journey or my life journey in the case of Jess and those emails for her weddings. So B2C marketers actually send behavioral and date-based triggers. They report conversion rates as high as 50% on the mailings that they're sending. And this is, I love this example from Jack Daniels. It's a birthday and a half birthday email. So they managed to get 2 emails out of 1 data point, which I just am a nerd and I love. And I thought those gifts are really super fun. I also love too that they're not giving anything away. They're just sort of kind of giving you a delightful experience with these emails as well. But on the B2B side, you're not left out. This type of targeting takes the form of lead nurturing, based on how leads and customers are interacting with your content, with your website, etc. And those that are actually mapping emails back to these journeys or to these touch points by integrating their CRMs, by using automation software and tools, are seeing 10% increases in sales on average. And some of those people are, tweaking that, tailoring it, playing around and testing, and seeing 30% more leads that are converting just based on, deploying emails when I am most likely to be engaged. If I am reading an article on your website, they're serving me content that corresponds to that, which is pretty cool. So, once folks do convert and you have even more data, or, if they've purchased, if you have a product like Peter Nappy that sells boots, you have that opportunity to have repeat business. You can subtly target them with better content in every interaction, regardless of whether the call to action is even directly sales related. So I love these examples because this is an email that's actually an event invitation to preview their fall line. They're not saying, hey, buy from this email, but they're segmenting this based on past purchase behavior. So if I bought men's items, I get the image at the top. If I bought women's items, I get a different image. And if I have made no purchases, I just get a default sort of both images. They're showing me men's and women's products. So it's just a nice way to keep top of mind that you can use data even if you're not asking me to buy something or download something right out of the gate. And obviously I love to sort of put this out there. We've talked about data, we've talked about tracking. You're obviously getting a lot of information for people, but sometimes along that journey, it's okay to just say, hey, we've been emailing you for a minute. Is this right? Are you in the right segments? It's not foolproof. Sometimes people click things out of curiosity. Sometimes they're buying gifts for other people. No matter what it is, I think, again, this is a great reminder that this is a two-way street. This is a conversation. So if you don't know, or you just want to be sure, send an email actually asking, because you will get information. And then honestly, as a consumer, this just feels good. And just like the example based on purchase behavior, there are lots of ways that you can draw your audience even closer with data, the data that they're generating. So this section is all about triggering emails based on actions that they take on your website and specifically per mailing. So and continuing to serve up the right kind of stuff. So this example is Starbucks. My colleague was looking up cold brewed coffee there on the left on their website. Hours later, she received a very subtle yet timely email that was just only about cold brew coffee. This wasn't a new item for them. She just happened to be browsing there on the site. And so they took the data, they took clicks on their website and created an event that was tied to their email program and served dynamic content to her based on that activity. And this is less subtle, and this is probably one that you've encountered more often or noticed more often. Same mechanisms though. I was on Fry's website. I like a lot of luxury boots, clearly. I was looking at these boots. I clicked them. I looked at them. I didn't put them in my basket because I wasn't going to pay $300 for duck boots, even though they're awesome. And then, lo and behold, I get an email a few hours later that's like, oh, you really liked those boots. You looked at them for a long time. You should buy them. And I didn't. I still didn't buy them, so maybe they should have given me a discount in that email, and I would have considered it. But this goes beyond that cart abandonment idea. This is taking it a step before that sort of interaction and serving content still based on my interest, not necessarily actions beyond just clicks. So here's an example of sort of it going the opposite direction, where I get an email from Jet Setter of stunning stays, stunning vacations under $200. That is because previously I had been on their website looking at stuff and put my price range somewhere in there for a night. And so this is sort of I'd looked on their website, I'd set my cap at $200. They send me an email with only things under $200. I click through this email, and then lo and behold, everything that I get served to me on the site, it caps out at $200. So it's sort of taking it from the site to the inbox back to the site. And I love this example, from Surface Hotels. So you actually can take general emails. So this is just a digest they send every week here on the left. They send an email basically saying, hey, here's our hotel of the week. And then they give you lots of juicy, wonderful, beautiful photos to click on. Lo and behold, I clicked on Hotel Havana in San Antonio, and then a couple of days later, on the right, I get an email using the same image that I'd clicked on in the previous email, just about Hotel Havana. So they are using a general email to get really targeted. So I think that's a good reminder too. Just because you are targeting and segmenting doesn't mean that you have to totally abandon sort of batch and blast emails in general. Those are a great way to sort of profile consumers, leads, whoever it might be, and then serve them relevant content down the road. So once you got me, I'm impressed. I want to go to Hotel Havana. I want cold brew coffee, and I'm wearing my duck boots. I've converted. You're still not done. With email, it is a cycle. You can still do so much more to ensure that I don't go anywhere, that I stick with you guys. So on average, a loyal customer is worth up to 10 times more than the cost of their original purchase. So if you can get me in, you can get me to convert that first time, you stand to really keep it going. And the probability of selling to a new prospect, it's around 5 to 20%. The probability of selling something else to an existing customer is 60 to 70%. So this is a super untapped audience segment that a lot of people do forget to continue to serve quality content to in the inbox. So let's look at more examples. If you've ever been on Amazon.com, I am a big fan of it myself. You probably have gotten emails like this from them. That's because they are incredibly effective. In fact, they report that 35% of their revenue generally is generated by their recommendation engine. And that's both on their site and in emails like this. 35% of their total revenue is based on product recommendations. And when they send it out via email, it's super powerful. I purchased LaCroix. I was like, I didn't even know that I wanted to buy fizzy water on my computer at lunch at my job, but I did. The thing about it, though, is that only 39% of online retailers are sending personalized product recommendations like this. So if you are not doing this yet, get with it. I also love this example because San Pellegrino is being super sneaky, and they have a targeted sponsored ad in this LaCroix email. So I love it. And another sort of great tactic, especially if you are, let's say you're a subscription-based service, this is a great thing that works not just for retail, but it works for B2B, it works for nonprofits, and I'll kind of explain that here in a second. But reminder emails like this one are a great way to increase sales. They are just sending me technically this email to tell me that my razors are going to ship, and then the majority of the email is about hey, upsell, toss in a little bit more, and you can shop directly from this mailing. Nonprofits do this often with recurring donors to remind them of the value of what they're donating. So it doesn't necessarily need to be an upsell opportunity. It can also be a retention opportunity. You can remind someone, hey, we're going to withdraw money from your account. Maybe you're an alumni or a donor, but we're going to remind you of that, and then also show you a story that's super impactful that shows how your donation is being used. So this is a fantastic way to really personalize and nurture current customers. And I want to round this section out, and then we're going to kick it actually back over to Jess briefly to sort of take us on home. But here's a cautionary tale. You know how I said earlier that personalization is not just saying my name. This email from Toyota that I got about a year ago, I highlighted it. Jamie, experience the world of Yaris ownership. Well, doesn't that sound nice? I own a Yaris. This email has absolutely nothing to do with owning a Yaris. In fact, they are trying to sell me another car actively in this email. It was tone deaf. I talked about it in another email, or in another webinar that we've done before. Well, I'm happy to report to you guys. Let me go to this next slide. There we go. Something's shaken up. I like to credit myself for calling them out, but now I'm getting emails from Toyota that are right on the money. They are taking the data they have about me. The email on the left is a re-engagement email saying, hey, we miss you. You haven't brought your Yaris in to be serviced in a while. Do you want some coupons? Awesome. Excellent email. Then they send me a separate email with a different focus call to action that's saying, hey, you're actually eligible for an upgrade. Now let's talk about your Toyota Camry. So they're giving me context, they're using data about me, and it's really, really nice. And this is much more effective than just throwing my name in something and pretending like we're buddies. So and I want to just end on this sort of chart here. It's a circle, and I do it counterclockwise. That's how I read this. Apparently, I'm in the minority, but get them in the right doors. Say hello in the right ways. Put your data to work. Start doing that right away as fast as you can. Continue to get deeper in that relationship with data, follow up with relevant content, whether they are, at the bottom of the funnel, at the sales funnel, or they're actually customers. And if they are actually customers, keep them coming back for more. Even if it's a one-time sale, you want to keep that relationship going. And yeah, so I think Jess has some great stuff to tell us about retargeting at this point.
I do. Just waiting for mouse control. But
I know.
The next question is really, okay, you're doing everything right in email, and you're doing everything right from a top of funnel perspective, but what happens if they're still not converting? And when that's an incredibly frustrating thing to think about, just take a step back and consider the decision-making funnel for 1 second, or the decision-making cycle. It's far and away not exactly a smooth process. And when you think about my boss, Larry Kim, in the time that it takes him to compose a tweet, he's received like a dozen emails and 100 social media notifications. It's really easy to fall off the path, especially on a desktop or phone. So if you're still having struggle getting this, your prospects to convert, or your existing customers to reconvert, let's talk about expanding outside of email and patching that leaky funnel even more with remarketing. Remarketing, essentially, for those of you guys who aren't familiar with it, allows you to track visitors to your website who have left, and then display advertisements all across the web to get them to return to your website. We're essentially just trying to take advantage of people's distractibility on other sites to get them back over to our website and complete whatever action we wanted them to take in the first place. And back to my personal story, it's worked for me before. I've had first-hand experience. The only reason I knew exactly what dress I wanted when she told me I had to get a blue dress was because when I found that dress online and I put it in my shopping cart and then abandoned it, I was plastered for months with ads reminding me how bad I wanted this dress. And maybe I might have remembered it having only seen it once, but I definitely remembered it when I actually had the opportunity and was ready to purchase. So remarketing is a great way to stay top of mind, a great way to get people back to your website. And just like we don't want to treat all of our traffic differently, we don't want to treat all of just like we don't want to treat all of our traffic the same, we don't want to treat all of our prospects the same either. And focusing only on the top of funnel, we're going to neglect the value of lost traffic and also existing customers. And as Jamie said, loyal customers are 10 times more valuable, but only if you actually take advantage of that value, right? Mm-hmm. Not only can you hit them over the head with email, you can also hit them with some cross-sell opportunities, upsell opportunities using identity-based PPC. People who have already bought from you once or already expressed interest in you once probably are comfortable doing it again. And one great way to do this is by using Facebook's custom audiences to woo customers. If you have captured their email and you have a email campaign going with them, why not reflect that when they're also outside of their inbox? You can import your list of emails into Facebook, and Facebook will match that with your customers, and then you can tailor specific ads to them, whether you just want to in general remind them of your brand or want to talk about specific products or specific pages that they've visited. And another way to do this would be in AdWords as well. They just recently released Customer Match, which works almost exactly the same as Facebook. I think they're kind of getting a little jealous of how Facebook has been gaining an edge on them. But same idea is that you can add your email lists into Google and then target them in YouTube or just prioritize them on the search page, or even use Gmail sponsored ads to reach them. Gmail sponsored ads, they don't even need to have your information. You just pop right at the top, and you can use all those lessons that you've learned from Jamie in your email marketing to also apply them to Gmail sponsored ads. And not only are those two wonderful ideas, they actually work. We have tested it. The data stands up on its own. Basically, both of these platforms alone have about a 50% match rate, which means, if you have a select customer list, chances are we're probably going to find them. And if you're doing two, both AdWords and Facebook, that number just only jumps even more. So to summarize what we've talked to today as some key takeaways, take a step back, think of your entire funnel, and when it comes to converting your customers, identify which piece of your funnel is really struggling. If you're having trouble filling that top of the funnel, take a look at what's been working with you for SEO and try to expand and apply those lessons learned to paid search and PPC.
Exactly. And then, on the email front, I would say, or just reiterate that, you don't want to ask for too much up front, but you do want to, give them really easy pathways to, give you their email address. And then once you have it, treat them like people. This is a conversation, and just like any sort of real relationship, try to actually be warm, be friendly, put your best foot forward, and then learn more about them and actually have a conversation that's tailored, again, just like you would in real life, and use the data that you gather via email, to send more targeted campaigns, use data that you gather on your site to send more targeted campaigns that map closer to the customer lifecycle, and then just continue delivering relevant content via email to people that have converted, once they're customers, keep them coming back for more. And, just to echo what Jess said, tailoring your content can end up actually costing you less in the long run, because you're going to increase your ROI with email, and you're certainly going to, you can increase everything. Just being more relevant saves you money, it's more efficient, and it's just more impactful.
Absolutely. And then if you're still struggling, make sure that you are patching up any leaks in your funnel and staying top of mind as your prospects search the web using remarketing and identity-based PPC.
Great. Thank you both so much. That was such great content and really, really informative. So I wanted to hop in before we get to our Q&A to provide our audience today with some special offers from both WordStream and Emma. So first up, if you'd like a one-on-one AdWords assessment to see how you're doing with your PPC efforts with WordStream, we would love to help you out in that arena, so definitely let us know. And then if you need some help with your email marketing, definitely see the Emma platform in action. It's awesome, and I know Jamie and her team would give you a great overview of it and how it could help you really get those leads through the funnel. So I'll leave that up for a few minutes while we get to some questions. First up, Let's see, which web platforms are used to capture information that can be used to create customized email outreach messages? And then how does that technology work?
Oh my gosh. Well, that could be a very long answer. I think in short, I mean, obviously with Emma's platform, the key to a lot of the examples that we saw today, some of it is just strictly, within our, when it comes to the pop-up forms that are capturing that data, we have some that are just included with the Emma service. So, you basically say what you want the form to look like, you take a little line of code, and then your web developer would just sort of, pop that, or no, actually your developer doesn't have to do anything. You can just type in your URL and it will link it there. We also integrate with a lot of other platforms, like for instance, I mentioned a company called Privy earlier. They have really elaborate forms, so they have a lot of banners and all kinds of, there's an array of them, and you can use our services together. So that's, there's integrations at pretty much any point for any kind of function that you saw today. But I think the biggest one is that we have what's called an open API. So if you have, let's say, web tracking in place on your website and you want to make sure that that's hooked up to Emma, that's something that, getting into the technical nitty-gritty would take forever, and honestly, I'm probably not your best resource for that. But essentially, start with your goals. Let us know, hey, I want to send web tracking emails based on behavior, like that Starbucks example. We would literally just have a conversation with you, figure out exactly which pages, which offers, drill down into that with you, and then help you link that to Emma's automation functionality. So we do that every day, super hands-on. I mean, our answer, or my answer, is usually always, hey, especially if you're a marketer like me, pick up the phone and we will strategically do it for you. But essentially, yeah, like the short answer is that we have an open API that your developer and our developer can use to link pretty much anything to Emma. As far as just some basic data points, we have a native integration with Salesforce.com. So if you already use Salesforce, you can kind of just hook those things up to talk to each other. And then all these little data points live in Emma, and it's just a matter then of going in and saying, hey, when somebody does X, I want to set up 4 emails to go out, and here are those 4 emails. I already designed them, and it's pretty straightforward. But yeah, as far as like the advanced web tracking, there's a lot of different ways you can do it, but it's available to anyone, no matter what your goal is. So
great, thanks, Jamie. This next question is directed towards Jess. Jess, could you provide some insight and kind of advice or tips on how to, one, I guess, how can you increase your quality score, and then any tips that you have for people to start implementing so they can increase that?
Absolutely. Quality score is really Google's measurement of relevancy. So it goes off of twofold. One is the keyword that you're bidding on reflected in both the ad copy that you're showing to that user and the landing page you take them to. So if you look at what keywords you're bidding on and put it right next to your ad, do those two make sense next to one another? And then what landing page are you taking them to from there? That, first and foremost, is very important. And the other thing that Google looks at is something called your click-through rate. And your click-through rate is how likely someone's going to click on your ad copy. So when we talk about those high intent keywords, those people are already gunning to click. And the idea is that if you're prioritizing those keywords, the likeliness of them to click is much higher than some of those informational keywords, for example, and you will benefit from a good quality score in and of itself just by the nature of those keywords. But in terms of really getting the maximum control over it, definitely focus on making sure that your ad copy makes sense in conjunction with it, and then take them to a landing page that reflects it.
Great for that. Thanks so much for that clarification, Jess, and those tips. Well, everyone, sadly, we have run out of time, so our apologies if we couldn't get to your questions, but we will both be following up with you, so if you have any additional questions for Jess or Jamie, definitely don't be shy. We are all here to help and want to help you, continue to evolve your marketing efforts and really increase that bottom line. So Jamie, thank you so much for joining us. We had a blast working with you, and we can't wait to do it again. And Jess, thanks so much for your time. Your insight is always greatly appreciated and very impactful. So thank you, ladies, so much. And everyone for joining us, thanks. We hope to see you on a future webinar. Have a great day.